Hi, Vince Palamara. Thought I'd give a little quick synopsis of my 5 books and a major DVD and Blu-ray I'm in. First one is Survivor's Guilt, The Secret Service and the Failure to Protect President Kennedy. This came out in 2013. Many years of hard labor on this one, a lot of work. It was contacting all the surviving former agents who protected President Kennedy and other presidents too, from FDR through Reagan. And a lot of these gentlemen have since passed away, and this is if I do say so myself, it's a good, maybe even a very good look at the Secret Service and what they did and did not do to protect President Kennedy. And the value of this is that a lot of these agents have since passed away, so it's good to have their thoughts on record. This book has done very well. Again, came out in 2013, my first book. Second book is JFK from Parkland to Bethesda. Came out in 2015, and like the first one, it's done very well. Did very well right out of the shoots, and still doing well like the first one. This one focuses on the medical evidence, all the Parkland and Bethesda witnesses, and all points in between. And what it does is it's literally trying to compile every statement, verbal or written, from all the people from Parkland and Bethesda and all points in between about President Kennedy's wounds. So in other words, every time Robert McClellan made a comment about the wounds, it's there, and Dr. Perry and Dr. Jenkins, et cetera, you get to see changing stories. You get to see the people that were consistent, so on and so forth. What it was a reaction to all these authors, well-meaning, that would always say, 26 witnesses said the back of the president's head was gone, the throat wound was an entrance wound, the X amount of witnesses. And I was like, okay, exactly who, when did they say it, how many times did they say it, were they consistent? This is the answer to that. Third one is the Not So Secret Service. This came out in 2017. You see like a 2-year interval. First one was 2013, second one was 2015, this third one was 2017. It's done pretty well, decent. This was basically a loose ends of my first book on the Secret Service, things that came out since the book came out and things that confirm and corroborate certain things as well. And also a brief look at the agents from FDR to Reagan, but it's mainly on the Kennedy assassination. And the big claim to fame of this one is Gary Byrne, former Secret Service officer, wrote Question of Character. Well, in his second book, he uses as a source. This is my fourth book, came out the very next year, 2018. I broke the 2 years thing because I wasn't 100% happy with this one. I thought that it didn't really succeed as a book. It was good information, but book-wise, it was a little lacking. This one I'm really proud of, but unlike all my other books, this one pretty much stiffed. Didn't really sell as well. The one good claim to fame, though, was 3-time Pulitzer Prize-winning author Carol Leonig of Zero, Fail, Fame, and Donald Trump. He wishes he was a doctor. Donald Trump fame. She wrote an anti-Trump book. Well, she uses this as a source. And like I said, I'm very proud of this book. This goes back really from Lincoln, because Lincoln basically founded the Secret Service, all the way up to the Trump era. It's all the most renowned, infamous, good, bad, ugly Secret Service agents, and this is what this is. And like I said, this for some reason this didn't really catch hold with a lot of people, but not from a quality standpoint. No, they didn't like it. It just, quite frankly, this didn't do as well as the other ones, but that's that. This one is carrying on the traditions. My 5th book came out 2021, Honest Answers by the Murder of President John F. Kennedy, a new look at the JFK assassination. Like the first and second books, this has done very well. It's been out a little over a year. And this is a look at the JFK assassination as far as all the hard evidence of conspiracy. No theories, just everything laid out there. Kind of like what I did with my first and second book. The first book details all about the JFK agents. The second book's all about the medical evidence. Well, this one is like, okay, I want to know what is the hard evidence of conspiracy in the Kennedy assassination. This is it. This is what we know, what we don't know, probably what we'll never know. I'm very honest about it. And this is it. And like I said, thank you, everybody. The reaction has been very well. Finally, just want to say, I'm in The Men Who Killed Kennedy. That was, on DVD and VHS, and it's on YouTube, and that's done pretty well. And I'm also in a new UK documentary. I think it's being shown in Australia. UK should be worldwide soon. It's just simply called The Assassination of JFK. Well, in the meantime, on DVD and Blu-ray, you can see my major appearance in A Coup in Camelot. It's also available on television, Amazon Prime. I'm very proud of this. I'm on there about 15 minutes, and the acclaimed actor and narrator Peter Coyote narrates my talk on here, and I think it did really well. So that's basically it. Thanks for watching. Conspiracy or no conspiracy, Oswald or no Oswald, if the Secret Service would have done their normal professional duty, President Kennedy lives. That's not Monday morning quarterbacking. That's not hindsight with rose-colored glasses, 2020. It's the God's honest truth. There's a reason that Presidents FDR, Truman, Eisenhower, and Kennedy before the assassination lived. It wasn't from rubbing a rabbit's foot. It was because of the presidential protection these presidents received. During my many years, actually decades, of research into the Secret Service and interviewing many of these agents, the vast majority of the Kennedy detail that was still living when I contacted them in the 90s and into the millennium, well, I uncovered many things. First major discovery is President Kennedy did not order the agents off the car and did not interfere with their actions at all. The agents all told me that President Kennedy was a very nice man, never interfere with them. So this whole mythology that President Kennedy had a rendezvous with death and ordered him off the car is not true. So the buck stops with the Secret Service. Another major discovery of mine is that the Secret Service was the only boss the President of the United States had. Many people would naturally assume, well, the President's in charge. He's the commander of, the free world and whatnot. And he's the one, he's the leader of the free world, commander-in-chief. He's the one who's in charge. But no, when it comes to his protection, the Secret Service was boss. This is by law. In fact, Presidents Truman, Johnson, and Clinton are all on public record stating the Secret Service was their boss when it came to that. In fact, before the assassination, JFK's first chief of the Secret Service said as much, that when it came to presidential security, the president knew that we were in charge. And that's what actually the special in charge of the FDR detail, Mike Riley, also said that he knew that FDR knew that they, the Secret Service, were in charge of his protection. Another major discovery of mine was many people thought this has only happened after the assassination as a result of the assassination, but it turns out that building rooftops were normally guarded during the FDR, Truman, Eisenhower, and yes, the JFK eras. I uncovered many news articles, even black and white video of newsmen talking, and Secret Service interviews that confirm this. It's a slam dunk. And even in Secret Service books written before the assassination, they all say the same thing. Whenever the president was in a parade, a motorcade, building rooftops were guarded either by the police and or agents. In addition, police lined the streets and faced the crowd, oftentimes augmented by the military. Again, they were there to face the crowd, not the dignitaries in the motorcade. And he also had many undercover police working throughout the crowds. So again, in the pre-9/11 world we live in with terrorism and assault weapons and whatnot, yeah, maybe the protection back then wasn't as good as it is now, but for the time, the 40s, 50s, and 60s, it was very good indeed. And again, the major threats they had to worry about were pistols and rifles. So these men were there to do their duty, and they were guarding parade rooftops, and they were often on or near the back of the car. Many times the bubble top was on the car in a partial or full form. You had many motorcycles surrounding the car. You had a proper monitoring of threats. Again, you had the police line streets facing the crowd. You had the military augmenting them. You had a good speed of the cars themselves. You had the military aid in the car. You had a physician. It was close by, the presidential limousine in case of trouble. All these things didn't happen when President Kennedy was assassinated. In fact, one of the true mysteries of the assassination is several witnesses, including a Dallas police officer, said that they encountered Secret Service agents of mysterious repute after the assassination behind the knoll, when officially no Secret Service agents were stationed there. They were only riding in the motorcade. So who were these men? Some people think they were gunmen, spotters, CIA agents. It could very well be that they were real Secret Service agents. Yes, real Secret Service agents. This was covered up after the assassination, either because it was further protection for the president and somehow they let the president be killed, or something more sinister. And finally, 9 agents, including 4 that rode on the Secret Service follow car. And those were Clint Hill, Paul Landis, Jack Reedy, and Glenn Bennett. Drank the night before and the morning of the assassination. This is against common sense, regulations, and was grounds for dismissal from the Secret Service.